Welcome everyone to another season on the Oscar Reviews as I talk about the films that were nominated for Best Documentary Feature, the newly renamed Best International Feature, and Best Animated Feature from the 92nd Annual Academy Awards that took place this past February. Now, if you have not seen my update video I recently did, this year's reviews is going to be completely different. Not much on the reviews themselves, but on the scheduling with a total of 14 here instead of 15, since one film got a double nomination for both Best Documentary and Best International. And also saving one particular film, the best for last, which you all know what it is, but we won't get to that until a little bit of the introduction to the international films. Now normally I start with the order I usually do, but this year, for these 4 Mondays and a Tuesday, we will be looking into the films nominated for Best Animated Feature. As I will be talking about the third and final conclusion to our beloved dragons and Vikings in the city of Berk with a big situation along with some romance, a connection between 2 different people and a severed hand in a massive search in the city of Paris, a postman teams up with a woodsman who made toys and would become a holiday figure during the Christmas season, an explorer's journey with a Sasquatch to get to the valley where the creature's relatives resides, and the 4th film of our beloved talking toys with their new owner, but with a new toy she made out of trash, while our cowboy reunites with the love of his life. And the films I'm talking about are How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, I Lost My Body, Klaus, Missing Link, and Toy Story 4. And as always, I go based on what I think was based on the results on what was the least likely to win to the winner, which we already know. And we begin with our only animated film that is not in the English language. Can't say foreign because the Academy changed it, so you'll have to get used to it, as we go to France, as this film had won several Critics' Circle Awards, including Best Animated Film at New York and Los Angeles, with an additional win for Best Original Score for the latter. From the Cannes Film Festival to Netflix, based on the book Happy Hand by Guillaume Laurent, we get I Lost My Body. Directed by Jeremy Clapin, it's the story of a young man named Naval, an unsuccessful pizza delivery man who was staying with his uncle and his cousin, who doesn't care about him, because during his childhood, he lost his parents in a tragic accident. One day, he brought a pizza late due to a minor accident he had with his scooter, and had discussed with a woman through the speaker of an apartment named Gabrielle, who's a young librarian. So he tracks her down and ends up meeting her uncle Gigi, who's looking for an apprentice for his carpentry, and decides to accept the job. While that's going on, a severed hand escapes from a laboratory and is journeying to find the body where the hand came from throughout the city of Paris. I really did not know what this movie was going to be at first glance. It looks like a love story where a young man meets a young woman and wants to find her. And yes, that's what you get with this movie, in a very slow pace. But that doesn't make it a generic romance film. What the crew did here does not make you confused here. This tells you why that independent animated movies like this one have creative freedom when it comes to their storytelling, and this all comes from the director and the animators on how adult animated films can feel real here. Okay, yes, in real life, a severed hand can't move on its own, but it's based on its source material. One of the most unique things about this movie are 2 things. First, the use of rotoscoping as this animation medium. When you think of rotoscoping animated features, you usually think of some of the early Disney films, the Dave Fleischer films, and Ralph Bakshi's fantasy films, as they were used before motion capture was a thing. In here, they used computer animation, then used a Blender software to draw over top the CGI to make it look 2D, and I didn't even know this was a CGI film till I did some research here. If the Peanuts movie and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse had that 2.5D look, I think I Lost My Body did it better than what Blue Sky and Sony did with their movies. Not saying they're bad, it's just the animators at Xilum in France did a fantastic job here, and even proving that rotoscoping can still be used a thing for the media of animation. The second element is the minimal amount of dialogue when the characters don't speak, or even were with the severed hand. The film knows how to entertain the audience through the dramatic journey all the way up to the final act. Any scenes involving with the hand is some of my favorite scenes throughout the entire movie. Not just the animation, but the use of the sounds and Dave Levy's score to make you want to follow this hand's journey till it reaches its destination. I'll have to say my favorite scene of the entire movie is actually where the hand interacts with a baby. Seems creepy when you think about it, but it's a cute scene. But that baby scene doesn't mean the hand has to do some relaxing time here. It had a fight with a pigeon at the beginning, escape a garbage truck while fighting off with some rats under a subway line, controlling an umbrella, etc. Now what about the characters here? Well, that's probably the weakest thing in the entire movie. Since we don't have a lot of plot here, it makes it very predictable in how it goes. And you might be asking, did he already met her in the apartment? They did, but not physically due to a malfunctioning door. As for the others, they really don't have much development here. Not even Gabriella's uncle, Gigi, as just the mentor for carpentry. If the script doesn't do well for the characters, what about the performances? Like many other international films, there's both the main dub, which in this case is in French, and the English dub, which does have some recognizable faces. Including Cheers' George Wendt as Gigi, and by the way, the 80s sitcom that had John Ratzenberger, aka Pixar's Good Luck Charm, not to be confused with the Netflix documentary show, Arrested Development's and Search Party's Ali Shawkat as Gabriella, and Oscar nominee Dev Patel from Lion, the Best Picture winning film of 2008, Slumdog Millionaire, and the recently delayed US release of The Personal History of David Copperfield as Nothel. For me, I would actually have to say the main dub in French here. Not because of the setting, but I feel more connected with the characters in their real accents. And yeah, I know it's kind of tough to say our main character's first name, so I do apologize for that. As this being the first Oscar movie I watched in order to review, I was very impressed here with I Lost My Body. Even though the film has a predictable love story and a mixed bag with characters, but with the physical aspects on its directing execution of the story and amazing crafted rotoscoping computer animation to make it look 2D, it definitely shows that France knows how to create animated films in a whole new way. In terms of my recommendations, I say check it out if you can. It is on Netflix, so it's pretty easy to find, and make sure you change your audio settings to French for this movie. However, this is a rated R animated film, since it does have a lot of swearing and some graphic violence, especially one that is in the end. So it's not for kids, but for adults around my age would like it. Would this also be a great date movie? I would say it depends on your own taste of the film. Oh boy, we are already off to a start, as next Monday for the animated films, we leave France, come here to the United States as we go to DreamWorks as they begin and ended this past decade with a group of Vikings and dragons.